Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tanks on Empty. This is Lulubelle, an old LADA NIVA that has seen her fair share of life. She is a fighter, and there's still a fight in her. This won't be a video on how to repair or restore her, for that I have done at the best of my ability. Now it is time for servicing and general maintenance to keep her going as smoothly as possible till the end of her days. Though with today's wanky cars, I'm sure she will outlast many cars born this day. Let me go through what I have planned for the time being. For now, I have removed the carburetor. The plastic bag you see is where it is supposed to go. Cleaning it is one of my top priorities, for it gets dirty quickly. Therefore, I'm also going to be adding a petrol filter. I've also removed the dashboard, for it needs repairing. The black insulation stuck to the wall was added previously, as the original was rotten through and had to be removed. There, you can see the instrument panel of the dashboard with the connectors which need to be cleaned.
Warning! The following video contains mechanical stupidity. This video is not educational in any form and should be viewed for entertainment purposes only. Tanks on Empty has no real clue about mechanics and improvises 95% of the time. Imitate at your own risk.
This is the carburetor. The carburetor's job is to mix petrol and air before sending it to the engine. Modern-day cars don't use such technology. They work by directly injecting fuel into the engine. The petrol comes in through here. The air comes through these two large holes. The carburetor has to be kept clean, for poor maintenance directly affects the car's performance. Lulubelle loves to send all kinds of shit into the carburetor even though the tank was cleaned. Let's begin by removing the only electric component of the carburetor. This component is a kill switch, when the ignition is turned off. There is quite a bit of carbon buildup, a clear sign that the carburetor might be quite dirty. This thing here is the seal located between the carburetor and the engine block, also dirty. Anyway, I'm going to dismantle it now and see what there is. With the 4 screws off, I can open it up. I don't want to lose any of these screws now, nor other various parts. I'm removing now the pin that holds the floating device that goes in the petrol pool. Put it right here with the rest of the bits. This is another seal. These seals are responsible for keeping air out of the carburetor between parts. I proceed. Taking pictures ensures you know where everything goes, even if they look the same. Some of these jets have different sizes, and it's vital to not mix them up. Jets are like screws with holes that let the petrol go through. There are also jets for air, and of course jet planes. After playing around and removing any other components, the bottom part is done. I have also removed all the needles responsible for regulating petrol and air intake. Those go in these holes right here and are of a golden color. I forgot one right here. The one I'm removing is responsible for regulating the amount of petrol going into the carburetor. It is fully black. I still have to remove the small filter located on the top part. Too small. Let's check here for a larger tool. Still too small. It is a 19. This is the filter. It is quite a small thing. Look at this. You can see the amount of shit and rust accumulated. That's why a good petrol filter is vital. You don't want this crap in here. I'm going to proceed with the cleaning now. I will use a cleaning product on the carburetor. You can find specific products for this task. I'll be spraying it everywhere that has dirt or carbon buildup. This includes all the holes and small spaces. It is also vital to clean all the pieces, needles and parts that have been removed. Now for the controversial cleaning method, soaking everything in petrol for a few hours. I'll fill this container with old petrol I had lying around. Please note this is not the proper way to clean it, but I felt lazy. Do not worry, for I'm doing this in a well-ventilated place. This should be more than enough. Gloves are also a must. Safety first, unlike myself. The fuck is this shit? Fuck. Seems there is a massive leak. Found a better container now, and more economical to cover the carburetor with petrol. I will also soak the small bits in petrol, though the ones with rubber bands must be removed quickly, for they might get damaged. Using a container previously used for paint is a terrible idea. What a mess I have created, not at all flammable. Just a little more petrol to sweeten the deal. Of course, the electrical component will not be soaking in petrol for obvious reasons. Honestly, it is not bad at all. A little cleaning product and brand new. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a how to not clean a carburetor. After soaking it for many hours in petrol, I took everything out and sun-dried it. Compressed air was blown into all the holes to remove loosened up debris. Rebuilding follows the same course as the dismantling procedure, just backwards. The seals must be properly placed and nothing, absolutely nothing, is to be misplaced. That's why I always take photos. An air leak will result in the carburetor working incorrectly. I'll put it back in its rightful place now. I always cover up the hole into the engine block. You do not want anything falling in there. And I work under a tree that drops a lot of leaves. A simple plastic bag and tape is more than enough. This is the seal I talked about before. It will make sure no air slips in through the engine block and the carburetor. It is black and therefore should be replaced, but oh well. The carburetor slips in nicely into place. I will now secure it in place with 4 nuts. Dropped one. Using a magnet makes it easy to get it out from tight places where the fingers can't get to. These are the 4 nuts that hold the carburetor in place. Easy enough if they are not dropped into the void. I will now tighten them down. Though a lot of space is not available, one can manage. The carburetor is now held down tight by the bolts. What's left to do now is to install the air tubes onto the carburetor. I remember where they go, but if not a photo is vital, you do not want to mix these up. In my case, there are only 2. I also have to add the electrical cable to the component that I mentioned prior, in the cleanup. This here is the petrol hose. It's a bit short now because there used to be a filter. I will now add the new one. Installing it is straightforward. This is where it's going to be. I must be careful with hot components that could melt it, as has happened before with plastic filters, which I would not recommend. It is all installed now. This here is just a lid for the carburetor, not essential. As you can see, the petrol hose now has the filter on it. I have wrapped it with a bit of heat protection, as it is next to the engine and the cooling water pipes. Following the hose line, we arrive at the petrol pump, responsible for pumping the petrol out of the tank into the carburetor. As you can see, I have added a smaller filter here, one I had lying around and could fit in the small space you see. If we manually pump it, we can see petrol is flowing. The carburetor is now properly hooked up. We just need to get the battery. It goes in that gap. Hooked up the battery to the car now. Let's start the engine and see how she runs. We will have to tune the carburetor before she runs smoothly. We just need to get her going. It seems the battery is completely dead. I'm not getting any type of response from that car. I will have to charge the battery or buy a new one. After all, this battery is quite old and might be the death of it. I have replaced the battery as charging it yielded no results. This is the new one. All hooked now to the car. Let's see if we can get it started now. I'll remove the lid of the carburetor so it can get some air. I'm also going to pump some petrol manually to make it easier on the car. I have to pull on the choke. I don't have the dashboard with the cable, so I'll do it directly from here. The choke helps to start the car, especially in cold weather. I'll use it now as the car has been parked for a while. That should be just fine. Let's get back behind the wheel and see if we can get the car running. Beautiful. First go. She's not sounding great though. Let's see if we can sort that out. I have tuned the carburetor using the 2 needles right here. This one is for the gas, and this one is for the air. I tune the carburetor by listening to the engine and tweaking it when on the road afterwards. There is no fixed amount of turns. Using a screw, you tune them till you get a smooth-sounding engine, just like a guitar. Installing the air filter and lid is going to change the noise significantly. It will cover the holes, reducing air intake. Now that's a different sound. It is a much deeper sound. This does sound like a proper engine now. The petrol is flowing correctly with no leaks. The fan is also working smoothly and blowing cold air into the radiator. The carburetor is successfully installed and the engine is running smoothly. Let me quickly go through repairing the dashboard. The dashboard was heavily damaged after many years, and all repairs are temporary till a new one can be found and this one replaced. The fabric under is rotting away. Therefore, I'm going to remove as much of it as I can and replace the large gaps created with plastic silicone. This is the amount that I had to remove. I do not want the rot spreading. This is an example of the plastic silicone applied. Far from perfect, it still has to be sanded down though. It's looking a bit better now, but far from perfect. I will sand everything down, repaint it black, and in the future add some fabric on top or replace it whole. But I'm happy enough with the results after all. I'm just experimenting here. I got everything back in the car now. Dashboard connected with the instrument panel. Let's see if everything works. The oil indicator seems to be working, though with a stopped engine, pressure won't show. The petrol indicator is also working just fine. Let's pull on the choke now that I have the cable, unlike before, and let's get the car started. Yes, I know, don't mention the dashboard. It's a work in progress. What a beautiful start. She's working smoothly. The engine sounds great, and I see nor hear any type of problem. I'm more than satisfied and happy with the servicing conducted on Lulubelle. And I know that some of you, more inclined towards mechanics, might claim I have done everything wrong, but frankly, I'm satisfied with the result of my service. There are still more things to do to her, including big things such as painting her, but step by step. Isn't she just a gorgeous little thing? Thank you for watching. Till next time.